There we go. We're seeing Chairman Kim Jong-un being escorted by South Korea's Unification Minister Jong-un, and now shaking hands once again with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. President Moon giving a nice little pat on the back to Chairman Kim and introducing the pine tree. What is the significance there? What does that imply? Why are they planting a tree together?
Me, I don't know. In fact, when I heard yesterday they're planting a tree that dated back to 1953, I'm like, well, isn't the tree already planted?
It seems like it.
I got very confused. In fact, I just kind of wrote it in my story, and my editor started questioning me about it, and I had to say, I don't know. I can't explain it either. So they must be transferring the tree from another location to this particular location. It's a very symbolic act, I guess, but it's lost on me.
Well, so the fact that I read it there that they will be adding soil from the Baekdusan mountain, so in North Korea, Halasan mountain, southern tip of South Korea, and they'll be merging the soil together onto the tree so that the tree will grow from the soil from the two mountains. Harmony of the two Koreas to symbolize peace and prosperity of the two Koreas. That's wonderful, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic trope of Korean unification, or the aspiration for unification in the face of division, and those mountains are, you know, the closest thing to almost sacred mountains, among others, for the Korean people historically and culturally. So, you know, I think this is the part of the day where the reunification aspiration, the symbolism of that, is coming across the strongest.
Sure.
You know, but it's interesting. I mean, we can kind of go as far with this poetically as we want. A tree is an interesting symbol in that it grows slowly. And, you know, the big question about reunification is pacing, you know. I mean, that's one of the questions. And so there may be some, you know, some symbolic significance to reunification. Can come like a tree. This is not something you can do overnight. This is not something that probably either Korea is ready to do quickly. It's something that needs to happen organically and sort of unfold like the growth of a tree that's been transplanted, Brian, from its life pre-1953 and is now starting its new history.
Well, looking at the footage, perhaps it wasn't transplanted. Maybe they were adding soil to it. Maybe it was a ceremony involving a tree, and so maybe that was my confusion about the whole process.
But eventually it will happen. But eventually it will grow. A tree will grow. And
if taken care of.
Yes, it will be taken care of, I assure you. And there we go, a photo being taken for that. And we're seeing the two leaders of North and South Korea basically adding soil from the Baekdusan mountain from North Korea, soil from Halasan mountain from South Korea. And I can't hear him very well, but Chairman Kim saying something along the lines of it needs to be taken good care of. And the water that they're watering is water from the Taedong River in North Korea and water from the Han River in South Korea. So another very symbolic move there.
Yeah, and again, you know, this is there's something ritual to this, obviously, and Koreans do. Some Koreans keep up ritual. You know, my Korean family does chesa, and so there's a certain. As I watch this, there's an element of kind of ritual enactment, you know, enacting a wish of Korean people to come together in, as you say, peace and prosperity. And it's also about geography. You know, geography is
and
destiny.
right there it says, we plant peace and prosperity, and signed by President of the Republic of Korea, Moon Jae-in, and the Chairman of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-un.
I would say this is classic Kim Jong-un. I mean, he looks relaxed and
Yes,
you know,
yes, and he
engaging and talking to his people and Moon, and it's very comfortable, and as does President Moon. So, and that's the point of this, is to break up the intensity of a negotiation.
Right. I think after the morning session, the 100-minute long morning session, they really become more relaxed with one another. I think Chairman Kim seemed a bit uptight at the very beginning, but seems more relaxed.
And it's interesting to see how they're trying to use this space. It's such a, you know, I've been in that space, we all have. I've been from the north as well once. It's such a tense place, you know, and both sides actually try and make it tense, you know, and project that tenseness to the other. So it's remarkable to watch them occupying the DMZ and making it a place of dialogue, of symbolic reconciliation. You know, they are really in the heart of the conflict and the hostility, and so they're trying to transform it, to use symbolism to transform it.
Sure. I mean, Brian, I'm sure you've been there a couple of times for coverage, but as I have, and you know, every time I go there for coverages, it's always been remarkable how the atmosphere there is so tense, at the same time so peaceful. You know, serene, away from the city, and there's an air of peace. And like John said, you know, the two sides make it appear and seem so tense, but there's still that peacefulness there.
It's a rare place.
Yes.
When you go up there, and to realize that you can go up to here but no further, that you can look across the border but you cannot cross the border, and to understand that it's a very heavily fortified area. It does give you pause when you're up there. It does make you think about, you know, the historical ramifications of the last 60 years.
Right. So for those of you just joining us, you're watching Arirang's live coverage of the 2018 Inter-Korean Summit, the afternoon session of the South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's summit session. And they've just kicked off the afternoon session by planting a pine tree together on the southern side of the border truce village of Panmunjom. They're now taking a group photo together, and it's a historic moment. And as North Korea's Chairman Kim wrote in the guest book, a new history begins now, the age of peace at the starting point of history. And I think both Chairman Kim and President Moon share that feeling and share that belief that this is a starting point of a new history. And that is a live feed of pictures coming in from Panmunjom, the border truce village, where two leaders are holding the first Inter-Korean Summit in more than a decade, and the first time for these two leaders to meet ever. And the two leaders walking away. Now, they will be taking a nice stroll